Chapter 1. Bentley, Josiah Nelson's best friend, kicked back a clear shot of liquor and pushed the glass away. I told you to dump him when you caught him sending direct messages to your followers. If you'd listened to me, we wouldn't even be here right now. Josiah rolled his eyes, tracing the rim of his fourth empty shot glass. He normally wasn't a drinker, so the alcohol sloshing through his veins had already started taking effect. His inhibitions were loosened, and the sting of his ex-boyfriend's betrayal was miles away. Pardon me for wanting to give him another chance. It doesn't matter though. He's gone like the damn wind, and we're celebrating my new singledom Vegas style. Josiah tapped his fingers on the bar counter, drawing the charming long-haired bartender over to them again. He wore an enigmatic smile, and it set Josiah's heartbeat thundering. Yeah, we are. Bros before hoes or something. Bentley snorted, giving a nod to the bartender as he poured another pair of shots. Thanks, Bentley replied, passing over 2 crisp $20 bills. You're welcome, the bartender murmured. He lingered in front of Josiah for a moment, letting a little smile touch his face. I know you didn't ask me, but for the record, cheaters are pieces of shit, and it's a damn good thing you got rid of him, cutie. Tell him again. Bentley waved his hand. Maybe he'll listen to you more than me. Cheaters are a piece of shit, the bartender accented every word. I heard you. Josiah groaned, kicking his fifth shot back and slamming the glass on the counter. More please. Sure thing. Gimme a sec. The bartender breezed away, tending the rest of his customers sitting around the crowded bar. It was a Thursday night in Vegas, and the whole city had the same idea as Josiah and his friends. The news had been tense lately. They were coming up on an election with 2 controversial presidential candidates, but on top of the presidential election, there were whispers of a pandemic. A novel virus had trickled to America, affecting international travel points first. New York had exploded with cases, and they were slowly spreading through the rest of the states, but they hadn't yet hit Vegas, which was why Josiah and his friend group had escaped for a quick vacation. As the bartender made his way back to Josiah, the other 2 members of his group joined them. With rosy cheeks and still exchanging playful glances, Chloe and Everett took seats on either side of Bentley and Josiah. Welcome back, Bentley said. I hope you 2 enjoyed yourselves. Chloe giggled. Maybe. She bumped shoulders with Josiah. How are you doing? Honestly, I still know my name, so not great. He rubbed his hands over his face and turned all of his attention to Chloe. You know what? I'm sick of this. I'm sick of trying to be a good, nice, responsible person. So you want to start a scandal? Do you want all the drama channels to gain followers from reporting on your tea? Screw them. They can do what they want. I have been a good little boy for 28 years, and I'm sick of it. Quentin isn't concerned about being a good person, so why should I be? Because you're actually a good person, and not a cheating sleazeball like him. Whatever. I want to do something radical. Something wild. Like what? I don't know yet. Did you know Marshall got completely shit-faced on his 21st birthday, and had a very public bar fight? He ended up in jail, and my parents had to bail him out. They were so mad. Noah got married. Married? To who, you ask? The daughter of my father's biggest competitor. Okay, but your brothers are stupid though. They've been riding on their inheritances since they graduated from high school. Are they stupid, or are they the smart ones? Maybe I'm the stupid one. Maybe I should have fun for once. Throw caution to the wind and do something impulsive. I guess. Chloe shook her head. Ingrid is going to have a hell of a time mitigating all this, throwing caution to the wind. Don't forget, the big difference between your brothers and you is the 6 million followers you have watching your every move. Whatever, Josiah frowned. I'm serious. Your brothers hadn't amassed an actual career out of doing things they love. What are they doing now? Still job hopping and getting an allowance from daddy. Well, Marshall is overseas doing some sort of charity work, and Noah is basically pretending to be the vice president of my father's company. I mean, he is the vice president, but he doesn't know the first thing about business. See what I mean? You've got your own money, and you're actually independent of needing your father's. Only because when you're gay in a black family, you have to make plans. Chloe shrugged. Sure, but doesn't change the facts. It does. I've been living this straight-laced life, trying to be the perfect younger son in spite of my gayness, but the truth is, I'm gay, and I deserve to enjoy my life. I agree, but maybe you should enjoy it without being completely trashed. I'm not trashed. Besides, didn't you enjoy your life and Everett in the bathroom just now? You're not one to talk. Chloe's cheeks bloomed. Okay. I get your point. She curled jet black hair behind one ear and tipped her round face. I guess you've earned a night of reckless behavior then. Damn right I have. Josiah rocked in his seat, bouncing as the bartender finally poured him his next shot. He picked it up, swirling the liquid around in the tiny glass as he peered around the establishment. Older gentlemen filled the exclusive bar. The establishment was one of those places with an unspoken minimum. They had an image and a clientele to maintain, and Josiah and his friends stood out, especially Josiah, Bentley, and Everett. Chloe blended in as one of the many younger women interested in warming the side of an older man full of money and undue pride. However, they weren't the only young people there. Ray Yamada was too. There weren't quite enough words to describe Ray Yamada, but player was a good one. Sexy and gorgeous were a few more fitting words. Josiah could acknowledge Ray's raw attractiveness even if he hated to admit it, and even tonight, Ray didn't disappoint. Ray paused at the entrance, adjusting cuffed sleeves at his wrists. A family crest ring sparkled in the dimly lit room, and the woman beside him tugged at his attention. Ray Yamada was never alone, but to Josiah's relief, the woman hanging on his arm tonight was his business partner, Gwyneth. They ran a multi-million-dollar company together, and they made an expert team. Gwyneth was a pro at managing Ray's extracurriculars, and Ray excelled in business. The stoic businessman tilted his head to his partner as his gaze continued strolling around the room. The limited light shielded his dark eyes, but he paused when his gaze landed on Josiah, and Josiah's skin tingled. If Josiah was being honest, Ray's gaze had always spread excitement through him, churned his stomach, piqued his curiosity, but Ray wasn't his type. First, he was an almost insufferably confident playboy, and his family spent the majority of their time hushing the media about it, but it was hardly a secret in the right social circles. They had gone to the same private high school, and while Ray had been a star student, he also had a fair amount of illicit activities. Second, their parents absolutely hated each other. It was a well-known fact, and there was absolutely no chance in hell they could be anything more than fringe acquaintances. The problem was it did nothing to curb Josiah's interest. On the contrary, it made it worse, and it made Ray the perfect candidate for a night of bad decisions. Why's he here? Everett muttered, scowling as he noticed the man who had already stolen Josiah's attention. Who knows? Maybe he's actually fucked everyone back home and is looking for uncharted territory. Chloe twisted in her seat, turning back to the bar. It's time to get out of here, I think. Josiah sucked his bottom lip, tracking Ray through the room as he found a seat at an empty booth. Ray and his business partner weren't alone for long, though. As soon as he settled in his seat, a pack of leggy women begged for his attention, and after a slight adjustment of his watch, he gave it to them. You guys go ahead. Josiah eased out of his seat, smoothing his shirt over his chest and tracking a path towards Ray. What are you doing? Chloe's eyes widened. Dude, Bentley groaned, what are you doing? I'm going to go have some fun. Some sex. I'm going to have some sex. Bentley frowned. Look, I ain't trying to shame or whatever, but you've waited this long. You shouldn't throw it away. Throwing it away. He's as good as anyone else, considering my boyfriend of 8 whole years cheated on me. At least I know Ray's an asshole. There aren't any secrets. On his feet, his nerves caught him and glued him to his spot, and his heart drummed in his chest. Josiah braced himself with a hand on the bar, settling the liquor filling his body and keeping him solid on weak legs. When Josiah stood, Ray's attention shifted from the conversing women to Josiah, and his lips parted. His dark eyes crawled over Josiah's form before they locked eyes again. This time the gaze was different. Ray called to him. He dared him, and Josiah accepted the challenge. With his anger and alcohol fueling him, he moved across the room, placing one foot in front of the other, until he stood in front of Ray's table, close enough to smell his signature cologne. The scent mingled with his natural pheromones, intertwining them with the tingling scent of suji, the round scent of gardenia, and the sweet scent of jasmine. It married the old world with new, an ode to his heritage while still moving into the future. The women had fluttered away, and so had Gwyneth. His partner had found a spot at the far end of the bar, and she was now nursing a dark drink with a pair of ice cubes and casting sly glances down the bar to Bentley. Ray's harem lost interest when Ray had given Josiah's approach more attention. "Mr. Nelson," Ray's tenor voice flowed past his lips, pinging on Josiah's ears despite the hum of noise and background music. It caressed his ears in the same way his dark brown eyes caressed Josiah's form. The suited man pushed his seat back and stood up, loosening the low bun holding his shining black hair away from his face. Tendrils slipped from their trap, framing his square, angular features, but he ignored them as he extended his hand to Josiah, palm facing the ceiling. "Fancy seeing you here. I didn't think Vegas bars were your thing." "They're not, but I'm trying something new. It's called doing whatever I want, whenever I want." "Oh, really?" Ray didn't drop his hand. "Yes, really. Who does handshakes in the middle of a bar?" "Me, apparently." His features warmed a little more to Josiah. "It's been a minute since I've seen you. You look good." "Well, thank you. I guess being cheated on by my long-term boyfriend works for me then." "He never deserved you. And if I had $1 for every time I heard that from someone trying to get into my pants, I'd be twice as well off as I already am." Josiah finally slipped his hand into Ray's and shivered at the connection. Ray gave his hand a firm shake, stroking his thumb over Josiah's knuckles and letting the rough tips of his fingers caress Josiah's palm. For a well-dressed businessman, Ray had coarse hands. They weren't the in need of lotion type of coarse, but the coarse founded from years of manual labor, the coarse a few layers of lotion couldn't resolve. "It's true though. You deserve a man who's going to honor you with everything he does." Josiah lifted his eyebrows. "I'm entirely too drunk for this." "Did you say what I think you said? Mr. has a different woman every night, is talking about honoring his partner. Do you even know what it's like to be in a relationship, or do all the women and men constantly warming your bed alongside your money keep you satisfied?" "The first one, I think." He crunched his eyebrows. Definitely the first one." When he released Josiah's hand, he touched the back of the empty chair across from him, pulling it from under the table and motioning to it. "We should celebrate your singledom." HMF. "We should." Josiah took the seat, crossing one leg over the other. "What are you drinking?" "Shots." "Well then, let's get us a round." Ray nodded to a server who breezed by, took their order, and returned within a minute with 2 individual shots. She placed one in front of each of them. "Thank you." "Cheers?" Josiah tipped his head in question. "Sure. To you finding someone who appreciates everything about you." Josiah laughed. "How about we toast to me turning over a new leaf, because your suggestion is probably never going to happen." Ray wet his lips. "Fair enough. To you doing whatever you want, whenever you want." "Better." Josiah clinked his glass with Ray's and then tipped it up to his lips. Like the others, he took it down, and the artificial warmth washed over him. The alcohol chipped away at his logical brain, and he requested several more shots. Ray obliged him, signaling the server each time at his requests. The conversation flowed too, but most of what they discussed was hazy in Josiah's mind. Ray had gone with the usual pleasantries. He asked about Josiah's parents and his older brothers. Josiah asked the same, inquiring about Ray's mother, father, and little sister. His little sister, Asa, was spending time in Japan, studying their family history, Josiah remembered. The rest went in one ear and out of the other, and it was freeing too. Ray turned the conversation back to Josiah, and with liquor fueling his decisions, Josiah talked. He talked about Quentin and how tense their relationship had become, how Quentin had pushed him towards fooling around or having sex, but he never felt ready. He talked about how much it hurt for Quentin to cheat on him, and not only talk to others, but engage with them sexually too. He felt inferior, not good enough, not sexy, not appealing, and he hated how everything came down to sex. Was it even worth it? Was sex really so great? He kicked another drink back, and Ray shrugged his shoulders. It can be, Ray replied. With the right person. With the right person? Am I stupid for waiting? No. Did you love the person you had your first time with? No. Then why'd you do it? Ray shrugged, a little smile touching his lips. A conversation for later. Maybe a time when you're not headed towards a blackout. I'm fine, Josiah exhaled in a dismissive laugh. Ray? Fuck me. Josiah flicked his gaze down to the table between them before he glanced back up and fixed his attention on Ray. He didn't know what kind of reaction he'd been expecting, but Ray froze, full lips parted and eyes wide. He'd never seen the other man shocked or embarrassed before, but right now he was both, and it fueled Josiah's proposition. You know what you're doing, right? You know how to make it feel good. Josiah slithered from his seat and followed the table around to Ray, standing in front of the other man in offering. Ray cleared his throat and the flush of red on his face darkened. I probably can, yeah, he replied, voice raw and husky. Josiah liked it. He studied Ray's face for another moment, before looking down at the faint bulge in his pressed slacks. Josiah's cock responded too. Knowing Ray wanted him stirred the same desire inside of him. Even if Ray didn't say it, Josiah sensed it through the fiery tension between them and the hungry way the other man regarded him. Josiah pressed his palm into the table, stabilizing himself as his legs turned to jelly under him, and his sudden act of defiance filled him with jumpy, nervous energy. He wished he could take the words back, but it was far too late. Well then. It's settled. My ass, your cock. My suite is upstairs. Ray scoffed, looking away from Josiah and begging the server for another round of shots. At least kiss me before you demand a performance. Fine, Josiah handed his dismissive tone right back to him, gripped his tie, and yanked him into a kiss.